Barbara Keisman, and today I wanted to talk about how God promises to take care of generous people. I want to start off with 3 scriptures that say exactly that. The first one's found in Proverbs 22:9, and it says this: "The generous will themselves be blessed, for they share their food with the poor." Proverbs 21:13 says this: "Whoever shuts their ears to the cry of the poor will also cry out and not be answered." So the opposite is also true. If we don't take care of the poor, we put ourselves at risk spiritually. But Proverbs 19:17 says this: "Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done." God promises to take care of people, generous people who care for the poor, because we are his hands here on earth, and it's his way of helping the poor. And how does he do that? If you're a generous person, if you are faithful to help the poor with what the Lord has given you, he'll make sure you have enough for you and some left over to help others, if that's in your heart to do that. I remember years ago, I've learned that lesson of generosity. I learned that I could not outgive God, because sometimes we fear lack, and so we hold back. But once I went forward by faith and gave beyond my means, God gave back, and I learned that over and over again, that I was never going to lack. That if I was a generous person, he would make sure that I had enough, that I would not lack. And so after a time, that was proven to me. It doesn't mean I was rich, because I wasn't. I still had to live by faith. I still had to trust him for the next week's paycheck. But he was always faithful to come through. But I remember we were photographers, and we had a studio that was 3 or 4 blocks away from the notorious housing projects, Caprini Green. And our studio was kind of like it was a rehab, so it cost a little bit to get into that place. And so I remember one night going up to my studio to get in, and there was a young lady there. She had a little baby. She was like 100 pounds. She was really tiny, and she asked me for money. We had that quite often in Chicago. There was a lot of homeless and people who were asking for cash, and we tried to give it whenever they asked. But when she asked me, I didn't have a dollar to my name. For whatever reason, I was at the end of finances, and so I was like, what am I going to do? I can tell the girl's in need, but I don't really have anything to give. And then it came to me, I do have groceries. And so I took her upstairs into my studio, and I gave her half our groceries. I had no doubt that God was going to replenish those groceries. I had no doubt, none in my heart. He had done that over and over again for us. And I didn't just give this young lady groceries. I also told her about the love of Christ. And soon she came to a church that was in that area. It wasn't, and she started to attend church. And then she learned more about the love of Christ. And she learned that he was wanting to provide for her. He loved her and was wanting to care for her every need. So she got fed 2 ways, the Word of God and by food. But again, I want to encourage you. We may have hard times. We've had good times. But what happens if we don't always have good times? We need generous people to share. And if you do, I can guarantee you that God will take care of you. Anyway, I'm Barb Keisman, and you've been listening to Dare to Dream Once More.